welcome to the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, continuing my 2016 season recap for each and every team in the NFL. And today, we are talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, and yet again, this is a team that had a disappointing season as they went 6-9-1 after making the playoffs for about 4 straight years. No playoffs this season for the Cincinnati Bengals. And when we look at their key games from this season, I liked the Week 1 win against the New York Jets, but it turns out the Jets weren't very good, right? And then from there, they lost 2 straight games. In Pittsburgh, one, and then the other one being to the Denver Broncos. And that Denver Broncos game was a pretty ugly game. From there, though, they did beat the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football very impressively. They were 2-2 at this point, and I still like their odds of making the playoffs. But from there, they went to Dallas, and they absolutely got dominated by the Dallas Cowboys to me. And that's when I said, maybe the Bengals won't be quite good this year, because the week after that, they had to go to New England, and I knew they'd lose that game as well, and they did. Now, they did win a game after that against Cleveland, but we knew that was just Cleveland. Who cares? They did go to London, and they tied that game, but then from there, 3 straight losses. Very disappointing, all of them. But the thing about this Bengals team is they're a team that is going to be hopefully, a favorite to bounce back next year, because you look at these losses, man, none of them were that bad. The Broncos loss to me was the worst loss this season. The Cowboys lost pretty bad too. Patriots lost okay. But these are all good teams, right? Broncos, Patriots, Cowboys, good teams. They just had a little unfortunate losses against like the Giants, the tie against the Redskins, loss against the Bills, loss against the Ravens, that if they play better next year, they can win these games and be back in the playoffs. So, there were certain games here that they possibly could have won, but it's a 6-9-1 campaign. But hey, you don't do that well one year. You get near the top of the draft, you get a great player, you get some players back healthy next year, and this team could be back in the playoffs. Let's look at the individual performances from this Cincinnati Bengals season. Let's look at the offensive side of things, and let's start at the quarterback position. Now, Andy Dalton is a player that has been under a lot of scrutiny lately over the last 4 years, because he can't win a playoff game, and that's understandable. But honestly, I was very impressed with Andy Dalton this season. His offensive line was the worst offensive line he had to me in his entire career. His receivers probably were the worst receivers he's had in his entire career, and he still played pretty well. His touchdowns weren't through the roof. He only threw 18 touchdowns, but he also only threw 8 interceptions. So he said, okay, if I'm not going to throw a lot of touchdowns, I'm not going to throw a lot of interceptions either, and I'm going to give my team the best chance to win games. And I like that he did that for this football team. I like Andy Dalton moving forward, and he also had 4,200 passing yards. That's a very nice total for Andy Dalton. Very nice total. We look at the running backs. Jeremy Hill, another disappointing season to me for Jeremy Hill, and I'm starting to think that he may not be the guy for this Bengals team. I still like Giovanni Bernard as a backup, as a change of pace back, as a receiving back, but I'm not sure Jeremy Hill can be the driving force of this offense any longer. Look at the offensive line. This was a very disappointing year for me for this Bengals offensive line. Last year, they did so well protecting Andy Dalton until he got injured, protecting A.J. McCarron, but this year they struggled. Now, Andrew Whitworth, the left tackle, who they ended up playing at left guard a little bit near the end of the season, he was fantastic. This may have been his best season yet at 35 years old. They need to re-sign him. But you look at Cedric Ogbuehi, a terrible year for Cedric Ogbuehi, and I can't believe it, because they took him last year, they redshirted him basically, and he had all year to practice to improve his technique and his form, and he looked just terrible this year. And same goes for Jake Fisher, the right tackle out of Oregon last year. Again, another guy that the Bengals took, redshirting, hopefully that, hey, they can learn from Andrew Whitworth and Andre Smith, and they didn't learn anything. These tackles are awful right now. They need to improve. We look at the guards, Clinton Bowling and Kevin Zietler. We like Kevin Zietler. Yeah, we like Kevin Zietler. This is a guy that continues to play great. Clinton Bowling, not so much, but I'd say he's pretty good. Russell Bodine in the middle, the center position, he's actually pretty good as well. But I look at Jake Fisher and Cedric Ogbuehi, man, they struggled, man. I mean, they weren't good at all, and they have to improve moving forward, because they're going to be a huge part of this Bengals team moving forward. I don't think they're going to look for offensive tackles, even though they probably should, looking at the performances from these young tackles. Look at the tight end position. Tyler Eifert, another injured season for him. When he's healthy, this boy is good. good, but he's not healthy lately at all. And again, he's entering this offseason needing surgery, needing to recover. Man, I do not like the way this career of Tyler Eifert is going. Look at the backup tight ends, though. They're okay. CJ Uzoma, you like how he stepped up when Tyler Eifert was injured, and he was injured a lot. Look at the wide receivers. AJ Green started to have some injuries, man, and this was very unfortunate for this football team. Missed about probably, I'd say, like 6 games, I want to say that, and he was maybe like 5, actually, maybe 4 even, but he was having a very good season before that injury, so very unfortunate injury for him this season. Look at Brandon LaFell. He was a little inconsistent for me. He definitely had his fair share of good games, but he was also invisible at times, so a little up and down for me, but overall pretty good. Tyler Boyd, a rookie, but a pretty nice one, like 600 receiving yards, only 1 touchdown, but he got a number of carries in the run game, made a nice effort there, and I like him moving forward. Look at Cody Core, rookie out of Ole Miss. There's some promise there. Didn't do too much, but there's some promise there for sure. So the offensive MVP, to me, it's still... Andy Dalton got close for me, but it's still Andrew Whitworth. I mean, this is a guy that just does not give up sacks. And in a year where the Bengals gave up over 40 sacks, I have to give it to the man that did not allow almost one, I want to say, in Andrew Whitworth. I think the Washington Post that has offensive line statistics, I think they had him down for 1 sack, which is incredible. We look at the defensive side of things. And let's look at the defensive line. Carlos Dunlap, another good season for him. Didn't get over the 10 sack total, but got about 8, and that's a good season for him. Geno Atkins in the middle, and I think he really had a nice year, a good bounce back year. He wasn't bad last year, but he was dominant again this year. I needed to see that good. The other defensive tackle, though, not good right now, and Domata Peko. Also, Andrew Billings wasn't able to play this year, and some other guys on this defensive tackle position have been disappointing. They need to improve this spot if Billings will never play, or if you just still need to upgrade anyway, because this defensive tackle position proved to be, to me, the issue with this defense, as they were a pretty bad run defense this year for Cincinnati. We look at the other defensive end position, though. Michael Johnson, we liked bringing him back, but the guy is not very good. Only 3.5 sacks this year. We need more from that position, so we need to improve there. I think Wallace Gilberry, he added like possibly maybe 4. Will Clark added about 4 as well, but we need to improve this defensive end position. We look at the linebackers. Okay, Carlos Dansby. He was an okay signing for this football team, and he's done some things, but I was not impressed with him in the run game in terms of run defense, and that's a recurring theme for a lot of these guys on this Bengals defense this year. They really had a bad year against the run. Look at Vincent Ray. He actually had a pretty good year, maybe his best year yet. Look at Vontaze Burfict. When he came back, man, that guy's absolutely dominant. We look at Ray Maluga. I think it's time to move on from Ray Maluga. Never a great linebacker, and he's getting worse to me. Saw him miss a number of tackles in the run game, a lot of misdiagnosis in terms of looking at what the running backs are doing in terms of halfback stretch plays and things that he wasn't diagnosing correctly at all. They need to upgrade Ray Maluga, to me, and get an outside linebacker that can help dominate in the run game. We look at the secondary. So with the cornerbacks, Kirkpatrick, I was very encouraged by his play this year. Got about 3 interceptions, a number of pass defense, and I felt he did a damn good job this year covering a lot of number 1 wide receivers. He's an upcoming free agent. I think they need to re-sign him. We look at Adam Jones, actually had a pretty good year, but now, again, issues with Adam Jones, or maybe now I should call him Pac-Man Jones, because he's gotten an assault charge and some other stuff now. Ridiculous by Adam Jones, and I think he's finished now, because you just can't keep doing this. A felonious charge indeed by Adam Jones. We look at Joshua Shaw, who was a second-year player, and he did pretty freaking well. I like him moving forward. Darquez Dennard, your Michigan State rookie from last year, actually now he's a sophomore, and he was a little underwhelming. I'm not sure he's ready to man the helm if they get rid of Kirkpatrick and Adam Jones. So to me, I think they should not, first of all, they should re-sign Kirkpatrick, but they should not give Dennard a big, responsibility yet. He's not ready yet. Look at the safeties. I like them a lot. In George Iloka and Sean Williams, they both got a number of interceptions this year. Both were pretty damn good in coverage. I like them a lot. So Who's the defensive MVP? For me, is Geno Atkins. Man, he had a bounce back year. He was fantastic. He was dominant once again. Geno gets the offensive MVP award. So Andrew Whitworth, offensive MVP award, and Geno Atkins, defensive MVP award. Really quick, let's look back to their 2016 draft class and the grades that I gave them. So with the William Jackson pick in the first round, I gave that pick an A-. Didn't play this year, so, that's incomplete right now. We look at Tyler Boyd. I gave that pick an A, and I think I might stick with it or maybe go down to an A-. The one thing that I like about it is we knew this Bengals team needed a wide receiver. They took one, and none of the wide receivers under him have proven to be better except for Tyreek Hill, but he wasn't taken until the 5th round. So, it was a really good pick when you look at it. 600 receiving yards for a second-round player, pretty damn good. We look at Nick Vigil, the guy to Utah State, 3rd round. I give it a B. I think it's been about a B. He's had some issues in terms of run game as well, run defense, so we'll see. And Andrew Billings, I gave that pick an A+. Again, he hasn't played, so we'll see. The thing is about this Bengals defense, if William Jackson III comes back and Andrew Billings comes back and they're good, then all of a sudden a lot of these issues that you saw with this Bengals team will be fixed very quickly. Same goes with AJ Green too, by the way. GPA for this draft class for the Bengals, I gave it an A-. For now, I'd only have to say a B at this point. It still has a lot of potential to become that A- again, or even an A, but it's only been a B draft. Tyler Boyd, you like. Nick Vigil, all right, but without William Jackson playing, without Andrew Billings playing, I'm even being a little nice with that B. We'll see how it ends up being in the future. So, there goes 2016 for the Cincinnati Bengals. Marvin Lewis still the head coach, and that's fine, but you're not going to win the Super Bowl, okay? You're not going to. I hope you realize that. I think eventually they will win a playoff game. I think once New England's gone and whatnot, they'll be one of the top 3 teams in the AFC for a while with Andy Dalton. But will they win the Super Bowl? I don't think so. But we're not here to talk about that. Let's look at the 2017 offseason. $46 million in cap room for the Bengals. But doesn't really matter. They never spend money on free agents. It was a surprise they even signed Brandon LaFell. What a surprise that they even signed Brandon LaFell. So, we can look at that cap space and say, ooh, but they're not going to do anything. Sorry. We look at the key free agents. Andrew Whitworth, got to re-sign him. Okay, if you have all this cap space and you don't like signing free agents, fine. You better re-sign your own guys that are good. He's good to re-sign him. Last year, re-signed for 1 year, $9 million. Should be the same deal, honestly, so re-sign him. Domata, Peko, let him go. He's not good. Let's upgrade that position. Brandon LaFell, it's up to you. I personally, I'd say I wouldn't, but if you did, it wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't. I think I'd upgrade in free agency, but you guys wouldn't do that anyway. We look at Drake Kirkpatrick. Re-sign him. I would re-sign him, and then hopefully William Jackson comes back and he's good, because with Adam Jones having the issues that he's having, this cornerback position is now in a bit of uncertainty. Let's make it a little more certain by re-signing Drake Kirkpatrick. We look at Kevin Zietler, huge, and you got to re-sign him. To me, he's been your best guard for quite a while, better than Clinton Bowling. Let's re-sign Kevin Zietler. We look at Margus Hunt. I don't know why people like Margus Hunt so much. I really don't get it. I really don't at all. Yes, he's a guy that can make plays on special teams, but the guy has registered, I think, like 1 sack in his career, none this year. Not a good defensive end, and to me, you can't keep using a roster spot on this guy, honestly, so let him go. Just says to me. Wallace Gilberry. I think he proved to be a pretty good rotational guy. You can re-sign him for a cheap deal. And then Randy Bullock was not a good kicker this year, but neither was Mike Nugent, and I'm hearing that there will be an open kicker competition next year, so look to upgrade that kicker position. And to me, though, Randy Bullock should not even be involved. He's not good at all. So if you want to have a kicker competition, that's fine, but don't include Randy Bullock. If he may win, he's still going to do the same thing. He's not going to be good. So to me, Randy Bullock should be let go. We look at the team needs. So defensive end, to me, Michael Johnson. It's time to upgrade Michael Johnson. Let's get a better edge rusher to pair with Carlos Dunlap and Geno Atkins. We look at defensive tackle for this football team. Yeah, right now they need a nice run stuffer, okay? Geno Atkins supplies the pass rush, and he's pretty good against the run, too. We need a guy to pair with him. Defensive tackle still in need. Now, perhaps Andrew Billings comes in, and he's great, and he's fantastic, and that's great, but let's prepare just in case he's not. Let's go get a defensive tackle. I look at outside linebacker, possibly strong side. Vontaze Burfict, he kind of plays middle, kind of plays weak. He kind of plays everywhere, so I would say strong side, but it really doesn't matter. Just get a linebacker that can help stop the run. We look at, to me, running back. Okay, to me, Jeremy Hill, I don't think he can be the driving force of this offense anymore. And when I look at this upcoming draft class, and I see in the second round, let's say, not in the first round, but in the second round, if I see available on the board Jeremy McNichols, or in the third round, I see Alvin Kamara or Curtis Samuel or Samaje Perine or Wayne Gallman. I like those running backs, and I want to test them out because I think Jeremy Hill, he's just proven he's not that dynamic. You know, we could use a guy that could really help be a driving force for this offense. And Andy Dalton, I think he's fine, but he's never going to be a guy that could just get 5,000 yards or something like that. He's going to need running back help, and Jeremy Hill, to me, isn't supplying enough of that. This is just, to me, what the team need is. I actually doubt they improve it, but we shall see. And then wide receiver, possibly. If they let go of Brandon LaFell, I think they could seek to add another fourth wide receiver, possibly third wide receiver, but I think they like Tyler Boyd moving forward, and I think they should. We look at their potential free agent acquisitions. Now, look, maybe I'm wrong and they actually spend money. So I included some big names on here, but temper your expectations. Let's start with defensive end, Jason Pierre-Paul. Now, again, I doubt it. Maybe they do. Jabaal Sheard, again, I doubt it. Maybe they do. DeMarcus Ware, he could be had for not that much money, so I think this is actually possible. Charles Johnson, this is probably more likely. A veteran, won't sign for too much, re-sign or sign him off free agency and bring him in. Also, a guy like Alex Okafor of the Arizona Cardinals, possible here. We look at defensive tackles. Kawann short, probably won't happen, but I just included it anyway. Brandon Williams of the Baltimore Ravens, big nose tackle there. Bennie Logan, same thing. Vince Wilfork, same thing. And I don't think Vince Wilfork was signed for too much either. Sylvester Williams, also possible. We look at outside linebacker, Dante Hightower, Chad Greenway, Malcolm Smith, and Spencer Paysinger. A lot of these guys good against the run. Dante Hightower would probably be too expensive, but I included him anyway. Running back, to me, Latavius Murray, Adrian Peterson, Jamal Charles, Eddie Lacy. Again, especially, I think like a guy like Jamal Charles would be really good here, man. And, you know, coming off his injuries, yes, but I think he still has a little left in the tank. He could be a great signing, and I know he's on an upcoming free agent, but I think the Chiefs will definitely let him go, and you guys could pick him up. We look at wide receivers, just in case you want a little depth, or maybe you want a little more. Kendall Wright, Corey Brown, Ted Ginn, all possible options to me. Not, you know, world beaters, but just nice wide receiver depth. We look at potential draft picks in the first round. Look at some pass rushers and Tim Williams and Derek Barnett. Look at an inside linebacker in Reuben Foster. Now, Reuben Foster, he would be the middle linebacker, and it might require some linebackers in your current core to move around, but I think it'd prove to be worth it because Reuben Foster would be a beast. We look at running backs. To me, still possible in Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook. Fournette could fall, and Cook, he's going to go, to me, around this range, and the Bengals may pull the trigger and say, man, we need someone dynamic in our running back core. We look at some other possibilities. To me, there's not many others. Possibly you take a Jabril Peppers. Possibly you take a Jamal Adams, but to me, your safety position is pretty good right now. So outside of these, I don't know. Maybe if Zach Cunningham can rise all the way to this draft pick, and maybe you guys trade down or something like that, that's also possible. And if you guys do let go of Drake Kirkpatrick, then that introduces cornerback as a need. So I would look at Marshawn Lattimore and Marlon Humphrey as being options there. We look in the second round. How about defensive tackle Vita Vea? How about defensive tackle Lowell Lotulele? How about defensive tackle Carlos Watkins? All would help stop the run in Cincinnati. How about edge rushers DeMarcus Walker and DeJuan Smoot? How about also edge rusher Ryan Anderson? Linebacker Raekwon McMillan? How about running backs Christian McCaffrey, Dante Foreman, Jeremy McNichols? So to me, again, this Bengals team, I would like to find a running back. I would like to find an edge rusher. I would like to find defensive tackle help. This Bengals team, to me, again, looking at 2017, this is an early look, but it's a look. I like this team still moving forward. I like Andy Dalton. He's not great, but he's like one of those quarterbacks that just sticks around for a while and then ends up possibly being really good. Kind of like your last guy in Carson Palmer, right? He could actually end up being Carson Palmer, where he's around for a while and then he just ends up being good. And then the thing is about Andy Dalton, he could have also a Matthew Stafford trajectory. But Stafford had a great year this year. It wouldn't shock me if Andy Dalton had a Matthew Stafford next year in terms of that type of production, in terms of that type of play. Wouldn't shock me in the least. I like this Bengals team moving forward. They're still a playoff contender to me moving forward. And I think if they make the right moves, and they tend to do that, they'll be back in the playoffs next year in 2017. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the Bengals 2016 season and my preview of their 2017 off season. What are your guys' thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, this has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. Peace.